Get money, yeah. Get money, yeah. Get money, yeah. Get money, yeah. This for my old school.
And welcome everybody to another live edition of First and Goal with your host, me, Jay in the UP, and
Dave.
Dave. All right, everybody.
It's got to sound like that because you're the better host.
Oh God, let's stop all that. First round last night, big deal. Lots of trades, including the
I expected the trades to go in the top 5 a lot, and it was just quiet. Everyone picked their picks. And I was like, what is going on? And the next thing you know, bam, 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 trades started happening.
Yeah, it was definitely surprising. And then the back end was full of trades, with teams coming back up that you didn't expect, and it was nuts.
Well, I knew, the trade with Green Bay to Seattle. Seattle made it clear they want to trade 29 or 21 to get more picks. And with Green Bay moving up to 21, see, John Schneider and Brian Gutekunst came up in the same scouting department, the same Packers brass for the management. So, they know each other. They have the cell phones on speed dial because they've been around each other that long in their lives. And I already knew that Seattle was going to be a trade for us to move up from 30, and the fact we went and got Savage was awesome. And I put out a tweet last night, and I saw a lot of people were complaining that Savage wasn't worth what we gave up. I'm like, it was the free first rounder we got from New Orleans. It was a free fourth round pick we got from HaHa Clinton Dix, and we only basically paid a fourth out of our own pocket to get possibly the best safety in the class.
Yeah,
I don't get why people are complaining. It's great value what we got.
Okay, what happened here is Seattle traded 21 to Green Bay. Green Bay gave them 30, 114 of the fourth round, and 118 of the fourth round to move up 9 spots. He was the first DB taken out of the entire class. He wasn't going to last. And his RAS...
No, especially Green Bay got word there were other teams that wanted him above 30, so they had to go up and get him. Because apparently the Ravens wanted him.
He's the only guy... well, there was 3. There was him, Thornhill, and Adderley. They were pure free safety joker types, hybrids, that are the perfect match for Amos. They had Darnell Savage rated way higher than the other 2, and he was rated higher than the other 2 according to the rest of the league.
I just can't believe that people tried to downgrade it, and then our division rival fans are already saying, "Oh yeah, it was a reach," and I'm like, "How was a reach? Other teams were going to take him 2 spots later."
It was not a reach. When you
I know.
it
was great value where it was.
Look, you've made it pretty clear. When you are taking first and fourth round picks that were acquired in trade, they're free capital. When you break
especially
it down,
the last year when we got Jair and the first, it was basically a free present what the Saints gave us.
The one that's the bigger thing here is the Gary pick. And at first, I was like, are you kidding me? Then I started to think about the way you and I were talking. And it came down to it's back roll. can get 11 sacks in this defense with Mike Pettin.
With no opposite pressure, mind you, too. He did that on his own.
I know. My point is, though, is that even though Gary, we might not have liked what he saw on tape, if you go back, there are a lot of instances where he's doing dirty work to help other players, too.
Oh, yeah, he's a versatile player that can play on the D-line and on the edge. And if you look at it, the two players we signed in Preston and Za'Darius Smith are exactly the same build. 6'4", 270, 280. That's the build that Pettin and Gutekunst likes. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, it makes sense. They want people that can be able to run the stun blitzes, the twists, bring pressure from every single angle that they can possibly can on that defensive line, and basically get that secondary, which is Alexander, Savage, Jackson, to be able to come out and play aggressive.
What you're going to end up here is a team where it's essentially Kenny Clark playing the zero nose, and everybody else is interchangeable around him. So you don't know from one time Smith and Smith can go from one side to the same side to switching sides. You throw in Gary there, and Lowry, Lancaster. There's just
Montravius Adams. That's a biggie right there.
There's so many guys here. I just think that your center starting point is always going to be Kenny Clark. And Daniels, I think, becomes expendable.
Tackle is just going to get better.
Yeah. Look, we all had our negative things to say about Gary, right? And it wasn't so much that we didn't like him athletically. It was we were worried about the production in college and the lack of. But if you are looking for positives and you go back on tape, you can see a guy that's a team player, okay? And you can't teach that. I don't want to be cliche, but
no. And plus, that is very coachable. That's the thing. He has the talent to do it. He's shown that at the combine in his pro day. And one thing I think is very underrated in this tape, he is solid in the run defense. That was a seed the past couple of years with Dom Capers before Pettin got there and they're trying to repair it. Is the run defense was a problem. And Gary is solid in the run defense.
Yes. And he will hold the point in certain times if that's his job.
Something Gary could do to save his life or Clay.
Well, and here's the thing. Back to my Fackrell point. He is so much more talented and has more tools at his disposal just right now without ever stepping on an NFL field than Kyler Fackrell will ever hope to have in his entire career if it continues to go on. And so you have to assume that even though fans' reaction wasn't the greatest with Brian Burns and some other guys on the board, even the tackles, Gary is an excellent pick here, guys. Like, we have to stop being negative because he's not going to go away. It's not going to help. So what you have to do is you really got to look at the things that they're looking at and the reasoning for why they picked him. And when you start to do that, you can't hate him for taking this kid. You just can't.
I also saw the emotion out of him, too. When he got drafted, that to me shows that he appreciates where he's at. Like, there's some players that got drafted last night, and they're just sitting there walking up to the podium, or they're with their families, and, like, they're smiling. But I don't know. To me, when a guy bursts out in emotions like that, it means he's reached that level to where he's always wanted to be, and now he can unleash his full ability. To me, that's what it means. And I think being around guys like Clark, Daniels, and the Smiths, Blake Martinez up front in the front seven box, I think that's going to help unlock a lot of his talent he has left.
Well, and it's the polar opposite of the reaction we got when we drafted Nick Perry, who after he was a Packer was talking that he told them he didn't want to play outside linebacker and didn't want them to draft him because they knew that's where they were going to play him. So
yep.
I would rather see Gary act like that and be disappointed for 30 seconds during a draft pick because that's all it took me to get over this, guys, really. And if you're still pissed about it, I think you're just being closed-minded here.
It's because
Again,
it wasn't the sexy pick that everyone wanted. Everyone wanted the Ed Oliver. Who didn't? Ed Oliver wasn't going to fall past
He's
10.
gone.
Obviously.
It was a pipe dream, and there was no need to move up. The way the board was falling, that would have been a waste to move up from 12. There were so many players
we
there
would have had to give
available.
up 30 to move up.
Right.
We would have had to move up 30, and that we wouldn't have gotten Savage.
It's the complete opposite scenario of what they did from 30 to 21, which is an absolute smart move. And I don't care. You guys are just probably going to say, oh, you and Dave like him. You picked him at 44 in your mock draft. The hell yeah, we did. Because he's an excellent player. And when you turn on the tape, you can't deny this kid.
Him and Adderley were the top safeties in the draft. And the fact that Adderley's still on the board amazes me. On top of that, as a side note. Two, but Savage... Dude, I have to say it. I wanted to hold it in for. I tweeted it out last night, but I have to say it. The way he plays, the instincts where he flies to the ball, and like kind of the impact he has on tackles. I'm not saying he is him, but I'm saying it's just very deja vu. Nick Collins. The way he's always around the ball. Collins was always around the ball and always made plays.
When you turn on his film, the one thing I notice is I'm like, okay, it's a safety. Why are they zoned in on the front seven? You can't even see him. And then when you start watching clips, you realize it's because they're doing that because all of a sudden out of nowhere comes this flying frickin' cannonball to knock whoever's got the ball on their ass in one swipe of a, like, Superman coming out of nowhere. He has got burst speed and the ability to wrap, hit, and knock you back. It is very rare to have those combination of skills. It's exactly what you want when you've signed Amos. I don't understand why people don't see the value here at 21.
It's a perfect compliment. Amos and Savage, which I'm calling now, which I saw last night, and I love it. Hashtag Smash and Savage. Oh my God!
Awesome.
I think they're going to be freaking lightning and thunder safeties, and it's. I don't think Packer fans realize what they have here.
I think this also solidifies Josh Jackson playing outside corner, Kevin King as an outside corner, and Jair Alexander moving around and shutting down whoever they deem their biggest threat. Okay?
And the thing is, you have a veteran leader who can play a hybrid safety nickel role, which he's thriving in Arizona. Tremont Williams, if you put him in that right soft spot of like a zone, man, he can still ball. I'm sorry, Tremont Williams. I think that's still a good value to be had as a rotational fill-in, because if you keep him fresh, he's not going to get burnt out because of his age.
Tremont also, people need to realize, I believe his legs are pretty shot, and that's I'm not being mean about it. It's just the truth. When you watch
it's his age. He's lost his step.
Well, he was a speedster. That's why I say his legs are shot. Okay, because he's just not what he was running on the field when he was in his prime. People need to go back and watch the tape of how twitchy and fast he really was, and then look at him now. But
that's why I say put him in a hybrid safety nickel role and have him like a third safety out there in Titans defense, which he ran last year. And if you have Amos, Savage, and Williams running that three safety package that he likes, I think Williams could be very valuable there.
I also believe Josh Jones moves into more of a linebacker in the nickel dime position permanently now.
I think him and Oren Burks have a training camp battle.
I think that's his best position, though. I think
off at the line,
he's got enough speed, but his size, and I guess back to Williams to finish my thought here. He's a smart, savvy player, and he is good for the young corners because of his experience, how he came up, how hard he had to work, and how humble he is, even though when he's on the field, he's got that kind of on an island swag. But off the field, he carries himself humbly and professionally. And